Hello there. You're listening to Linda Pinizzato of the Condo Expert, and I'm all excited today. Honestly, it's great. We are actually talking with Derek Thomas of IT Mayday, and the reason is because you know all of the different problems that are coming up with condominiums. Okay, granted, we know them, we've touched on them, but one thing. What I thought would be really interesting is talking about the mechanism, like what's going on in property management. Is there anything that can be improved? And no doubt, the computer systems, the backups, the hardware that's being used, anything all the way, I guess, from fax machines to scanners to printers. You got to think about this. This is an expensive building. It needs to be running properly, efficiently, and cost effective. So Derek has given us some fantastic ideas. Derek, we need to hit on you again because we need to know about websites. I think a lot of condominiums, the ministry, I'll brief you, the Ministry of Consumer Services had a Condo Act review, and the subject came on the table as to whether or not it would be mandatory for condominiums to have websites. Now, certainly a way of communication would be important. I don't think the ministry should at any given time take away consumers' rights by forcing any particular company that would oversee all this. I have some concerns about the whole conduit system that's going out right now, which is for status certificates that are working with property management companies and using materials from the condo corporation to provide financials and whatnot in the purchase and sale process. But getting away from all of that, how do you see the picture of that? Do you not think, I know let's talk about the benefits that you've provided to the condo buildings where you have actually done their websites.
That's a real good one, Linda. I'll go back, one step with you talking regarding, legislating mandatory websites. I agree with the mandatory website because it is a great source of information for the condominium buildings themselves. Now, as you had mentioned, I don't think the government should legislate, one company to oversee who manages the website because it should be something that's tendered out. The best companies should have the rights to build a website for the condo corporation. Now, I've done quite a few websites for condo corporation, and the benefits far outweighs the cost. One benefit is, as we touched on earlier, could be the paperless society, even though we know we're not there yet, but could minimize paper consumption within the condo office itself, because all the papers that the management office has can go online with respect to condominium forms and other information that the condo residents or the owner needs to have access to. So the convenience of the website itself is, I would say, it vastly outweighs the cost of the website itself.
Well, I know that you did a website for a condo building on Blue Jays Way, and what you had on that website was unbelievable. I mean, you had all the designs of the different units. You had all the specs of all the paperwork that property management would need, with their people living, like the owners and the residents, whether or not it was a bike form or a parking form or whether it was a moving form, a form for renovations. I mean, literally, they could have gone on there. They could ask questions. It was such a transparent website that helped the building, and it was professionally done.
Yes, I'd have to agree with you. With respect to the website itself, it is something that makes it more transparent between the condominium owner and the property management company. But what it also is convenient. I would just throw this out, most people are working between 9 and 5. The management office is open between 9 and 5. So what happens if a condo owner or a resident shows up at the property management office after 5 o'clock? There's nobody there. If they wanted a certain particular form or something, they wouldn't have to go to the condo management office. They could go directly online and download the form. They could do this at their own leisure, whether it be 2 o'clock in the afternoon or 3 o'clock in the morning. Whether they're upstairs in their unit or if they're, at the office. Something comes to mind right away, they could go on the condominium's website and download whichever forms they need. And this also goes back to It could be something that we'll just touch on the website as well. It could be something as showcased in your building to prospective owners out there. They can go to the website and they could see all the things that are happening within the building itself. I've noticed too, they could also contact property management via the website.
Well, that's right. So it makes it an immediate one-on-one contact without having to, worry about whether or not you don't have the email address, for instance. All you have to do is go on the website. That's it. And you're
Exactly.
registered in. So you have a log of the owners as well, correct?
Yes, and this goes back to what we did for the Condo Owners Association as well.
Mm-hmm.
For every condo board website that we do, we also make sure there's also a registration process in place, which means if you own in the building or you're a resident in the building, you can register online, and what that does is property management company, the email will be sent to them. They do the due diligence and ensure that yes, this person that filled out the form online is a resident of the building or is an owner of the building. And once that transpires, then they give access to the person that filled out the form. Now that goes back to offsite owners. Offsite owners want to know what's going on within the building, so they could register online. Whether they be in China, as you mentioned, or
Mm-hmm.
some other part of the world, or some other province. It makes it easy for them to find out what's going on within the building. And if they want to contact the property management company, they could do that just directly online, either whether it'll be email itself, or they could just fill out the form, and the form goes directly to the property management.
Well, it was interesting because the board of directors at that time that you were working with, they saw the future very clear about, making sure that the building would be transparent by using a website. And we're in the midst actually of ensuring that with the login, all the annual general meeting statements could be on there, the financial statements could be on there, any notifications that are going on in the building could be on there. I mean, that just to get an idea, because it was just such a customized website, that would be incredibly expensive, because it's not like, I don't mean expensive in the sense of like thousands of dollars. I think some people would think, oh my God, this is going to cost $10,000. But if you go out and you just get an ordinary generic website and it doesn't have any features at all, people tend to be up to what, $1,000, $1,500 to get something that's just ordinary?
Yep, definitely.
Okay, so when somebody is getting something so customized and they're under $4,000, for instance, I think that would be very difficult to actually get, would it not? Because I know that this building here, you gave them an amazing price.
Well, what happens is it all depends on the building. It all depends on what they want within the website itself. Now, this website, the websites that we do are very, very customizable, which means it's specific to the building itself. And most times, they want more than 10 pages. They want access to, as you had mentioned, building material online. And what this does, it's proprietary. So security is a factor as well. That's why we include a login screen, and we also include a registration form. So all this customization, it costs. It's not something that just snap your finger and it's there. So it takes a long time to do the customization. If you just wanted a standard website, those still cost time, time and effort, but they're significantly at a lower cost than a specifically designed website for a condominium board.
But then, something small like that, they wouldn't have any room to grow. They can't do anything. There's no advancement to them. So if they just had a small Mickey Mouse kind of a setup, it's not really giving them enough benefits to make it worthwhile if you consider an $80 million building and where the future of the building is going to go. I think that, you have to do things. If you're going to be doing something, you have to present the building properly, because it's an identity. It's an identity out in the World Wide Web. Why would you want to put garbage out on the internet and hurt the identity of your building when you're going to do it or you're going to do it properly, or don't do it at all?
Yeah, and that's what I mentioned earlier, right? It's your building's exposure. You're exposing your building to the rest of the world and to prospective buyers or leasers or what have you. So you want the best appearance possible. And that's my belief. And if you wanted something run of the mill or whatever it is, then by all means, I would suggest go someplace else. But if you want the best in the business and very customizable website for your corporation, I would suggest you contact IT Mayday.
Well, it's about quality, and I'll bring you back to new construction. I mean, how many times, and I got to throw this out to the audience, how many times have you seen a website of a brand new condo that's just been launched? Okay, they're not some backdoor dealing trying to throw an exposure out there because they know that they have to put value into the building, keep value in the building, and present the building as being a valuable building. Because we're not talking about inexpensive condos nowadays. We're talking about condos with $600 a square foot. So why on earth would your identity be put out there so that it doesn't impress anybody or it doesn't give a good representation of your building? Derek, I'm really thrilled. It's amazing that you've been able to package this all together and be able to make it available for condominiums. I know that some of the other buildings that you've been dealing with, they've been just lapping it up, and a lot of your business is referrals, from what I understand.
Yes, it is. And to go back, there are quite a few condominium boards out there that I work with, and my company works with us for. And what we do, we tailor the customization of the website to their needs. I've dealt with particular boards and condo boards that they didn't want the residents to have access to the website. All they wanted to do was present their face out there. And what that, it goes back to what you had mentioned just a couple of minutes ago. They're $60 million, $80 million building, and they wanted, they're located in Yorkville, and they don't want their users to log into the website. They just wanted the website for them to look presentable, and they don't want to water down their look. So they wanted something totally different. They wanted all the bells and whistles, and they wanted the website to look very, very professional and no login information. And that's what we gave them. Now we have other clients, condo boards that wants the residents to log in, and they want the residents to have all the information available to them. And this is totally, and it's acceptable, and it's totally different. And then we have other buildings where primarily all the residents and the owners are, I would probably say, a younger generation, and they live by the website itself because it's a form, they're the computer generation, so they like the idea of the website, and they use it religiously to contact property management to see what's going on in the building. Because what we also do for the website itself is we put up several calendars. So whether it be a party calendar or a building calendar, what's going on in the building as far as fire safety day or whatever it is, this is where they go to find out all that information.
Well, those are really advantageous too, especially at Christmas time, holidays, if any special events that are going on in the building. I know that there was even, it was before the show where you talked about some of them, they put like want ads and for sale ad little section in it of people trying to maybe sell some things because they don't really have access to that. That's a great idea.
Yeah,
that is so interactive, isn't it?
Yes, it is, and that's another incorporation that we put into certain websites, certain condo website. It's a classified ads, and so this way, the individual, if they want to, rent out their unit or lease out their unit or even sell the unit, they could put that classified online on the building's website. And it gets exposure to whoever's in the building. It also gets exposure to the rest of the World Wide Web, along with all the other information that's out there. And I should reiterate that the classified section itself, that's also a section where property management can have, I guess, total control if they wanted to. What that means is, once the residence goes on, because if you have not registered with the building or registered with the website itself, you cannot create a classified ad. And once you are registered, what that means is you can create the ad itself, but it's not going to be posted right away. It still has to be reviewed by the property management company to make sure it is a legitimate ad, and then they could post it for you.
You know what? With this review going on, I think one of the biggest questions that's happening is transparency and whether or not the board is honest or whether or not the property management companies are honest. The interesting part is, as I'm speaking with you, Derek, the first thing that's coming to my mind is, wow, if there's a board out there and you're on a board that has it, and I'm on a board actually that has it, and, they're quite comfortable to have website exposure. They're very comfortable to have the sign in login. And they're very comfortable to be providing as much information as possible about the building. That's actually a great question for a condo owner to ask their board. If they don't have one, why don't they? Because, if anything, it's helping the building. And but it does appear to me with the amount of complaints that I see, for instance, with my position as a condo owners association, I'm amazed at how many complaints there are. And I would almost have to guess that the majority of the complaints are coming from buildings that don't have a website. I would, if I had to put a bet on that one, I would actually bet that that is the case.
I would tend to agree with you. And what the website comes down to really, it's an alternative way of communication. A lot of times it's people are more comfortable with going to a website and filling out a form to voice their opinion or ask a question rather than picking up the phone and calling property management. And it's not just within buildings itself. I think it's general. We were also used to going on the internet and just typing in our information and type in Google, ask a question, whatever it is. So communication with property management, it makes it a lot more convenient for the residents of that building itself or prospective resident. I've noticed myself, whereas I've done a website for a particular condominium, and they've got, because of the exposure, they've got people inquiring from British Columbia or Nova Scotia, whether they still have units in the building that are for lease. So the exposure, it's enormous.
And, with exposure like that, you have to think about how much value that brings to the building. We're going to talk more about websites, especially about one small situation. If you do get a condo board, I know one of the websites there on Blue Jays Way was phenomenal. It was ridiculously amazing, definitely, certainly cost effective. A brand new board steps in the picture. And what did they do? They shut it down. So what is the fear about that? And why would a condo board, after money was already paid, shut down a website when it was benefiting all the owners, only to put up some nonsense now that has zero value? They've basically wasted the budget of the building. Something we got to touch on. You're listening to Linda Pinizzato of the Condo Expert. I'm chatting with Derek Thomas of IT Mayday.